Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. In point number 20, the author says, Nashatu Shaykh fi darsihi, the Shaykh's enthusiasm in his lessons. And we're going to see how the student can affect the Shaykh's enthusiasm, and part of why it's important for the student to have the right etiquettes, as the author will mention. So the author rahimahullah ta'ala says, number 20, the Shaykh's enthusiasm in his lessons. We'll read this and then we'll put some of the benefits that Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned. This is dependent upon the seekers, i.e. the Shaykh's enthusiasm is dependent upon the seeker's capacity to listen, frame of mind, and how much he becomes emotionally involved with his Shaykh in his lesson. For this reason, beware of becoming a tool for cutting off his knowledge by being lazy, slack, or slouching and allowing the mind to wander during the lesson. i.e. beware of becoming a tool, i.e. student. Be careful that you don't become a reason for the teacher stopping his lesson. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah said, the right of benefit should go to its zealous wanter, i.e. the person who's enthusiastically seeking it, and not presented except to the person interested in it. So if the muhaddith, i.e. the person, the scholar given the hadith, seeks or sees slackness from the listener, then let him become silent. For some of the people of culture said, the enthusiasm of the speaker depends upon the capacity of the listener. And he, meaning Al-Khatib, narrated through his chain of narrators to Zayd ibn Wahab that he said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, narrate hadith to the audience as long as they glance at you with their eyes, and if you see slackness from them, then halt. So it's important, just to quick point here now, it's important then for a student to be in the lesson in a way that shows that he's paying attention, that he wants to learn. Otherwise, the teacher will not give the lesson to the student because he doesn't feel that the student wants to learn. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala mentions, هذا أيضا من حلية الطالب أن يكون له همة وقوة في الاستماع إلى الشيخ واتباع نطقه حتى ينشط الشيخ. This also is from the adornments or the etiquettes of the student, that he should have enthusiasm and strength to listen to the teacher and follow his speech, so that the teacher will have some enthusiasm. ولا يظهر للشيخ أنه قد مل وتعب بالاتكاء تارة والتلفت يمينا ويسارا تارة أو تقليب الأوراق تارة أو ما أشبه ذلك. And that the student should not show or display to the teacher that he has become bored or that he is tired. For example, by leaning sometimes, as the student shouldn't be leaning back, relaxing, or looking left, turning to the left, turning to the right, looking around, or at times just flicking through pages in the book, or whatever resembles that. i.e. the student shouldn't behave in a way like he wants to go home. He's not really that bothered about learning, or he's so tired he can't, it feels like it's burdensome for him to come to class. This is not appropriate for the student. If the teacher sees that, he's just going to stop the lesson. So it's not appropriate for the student to have that. Or even if the teacher doesn't stop the lesson, he may, for example, cut the lesson short, or may not have that much enthusiasm. He may not give the fawaid, as many benefits, and only give a short explanation. Shaykh Uthaymeen goes on to say, وَلِهَذَا يَنْبَغِي لِلْعَالِمِ أَلَّا يُلْقِي دَرْسَهُ بَيْنَ الطَّلَبَةِ وَعَامَّةِ النَّاسِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُتَشَوِّفُونَ لَهُ حَتَّى يَكُونَ كَالْغَيْثِ أَصَابَ أَرْضًا يَابِسَةً فقبلت. So it is appropriate that the alim, the scholar, does not give his lesson, does not deliver his lesson between the students and the general people, except that they want it, except they are turning to it, they have interest to it, such that it will be like, him giving lesson will be like the rain when it comes to the earth, which can cultivate, and it will accept it. I.e., if the people or the students not wanting to hear it, then it will not have the desired effect. Shaykh Uthaymeen goes on to say, وَأَمَّا أَن يُكْرِهَ أو يفرض نفسه فهذا أمر لا ينبغي. As for that he should force people, okay, or kind of burden himself upon the people, that this is not appropriate. لعدة أسباب منها, for a number of reasons. From them, أولا الفائدة ستكون قليلة. The benefits, firstly, one of the points why the teacher shouldn't do that, the alim shouldn't do that, is because the benefit will be very small. وثانيا, secondly, ربما يقع في قلب السامع كراهة إما للشخص وإما لما يلقيه الشخص وكلا الأمرين مر. Or, for example, the second thing, bad results that could happen if a teacher forces himself upon the people by giving lectures to them when they don't want it, is that second thing is that the person listening may end up disliking, either disliking the person who's giving the lesson, or he may dislike what the lesson that's actually been given, i.e. the speaker, what he's saying, he may end up disliking that actual subject or that actual information. And both of these, i.e. a listener disliking either the teacher or the information, both of them are bitter things. And he goes on to say that the worst out of the two is that a person will dislike the information. So in summary, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says some bit extra, and then in summary he says, متى رأيت الناس متشوفين للكلام فتكلم وإذا رأيت الأمر لا يناسب فلا تتكلم ولا تثقل على الناس. So when you see the people wanting and ready for it, then speak. They're ready for the speech, to hear some speech, reminders or whatever, then speak. And if you see that the situation is not appropriate or is not suitable, then don't speak. And do not make it heavy, or do not make it burdensome upon the people. And he mentions وقد أخرج البخاري من حديث عبد الله بن مسعود, that Bukhari reported a hadith from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that the Prophet ﷺ used to give them sometimes reminders and mawa'if, and sometimes he didn't give it to them, to not make it difficult for them. Then Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala mentions the second point here, which is the second ta'liq with regards to this point number 20, which is with regards to the statement of al-Khatib that نشاط القائل على قدر فهم المستمع, that the enthusiasm, this statement here, the enthusiasm of the speaker depends upon the capacity of the listener, i.e. upon the understanding. A capacity here is the fahm of the listener. Shaykh Uthaymeen says, وَهَذَا صَحِيحٌ, this is correct. فَالْقَائِلُ الْمُتَكَلِّمُ نَشَاطُهُ عَلَى قَدْرِ فَهْمِ الْمُسْتَمِعِ, because the speaker, the one who is speaking, his enthusiasm, i.e. how much he speaks, will be according to the level or in proportion to the understanding of the person who is listening. وَإِن شِئْتَ فَقُلْ عَلَى قَدْرِ انْتِبَاهِ الْمُسْتَمِعِ, and if you want, you can say it will be in accordance to the amount of attention that the listener is given. لأن الفهم مرتبة وراء الانتباه, because understanding, the fahm, is a level that comes after a person pays attention. ينتبه الإنسان أولا ثم يفهم ثانيا, because the person will pay attention first and then he can understand. والفهم أمر خفي لا يدرك بمجرد النظر لكن الإنسان ينشط إذا رأى القوم قد انتبهوا له وأحسن الانتصات والإصغاء. Because understanding, when we say the capacity of the listener, the understanding of a listener, then understanding is something that is hidden. It may not be perceived by the person who's speaking. But if, for example, the person who is speaking, he sees that the people are listening to him, they're paying attention, and they're not speaking and listening to him, then of course he will be more enthusiastic in his speech. So it's important then for the student of knowledge to pay attention to these manners in the class. Pay attention to what the teacher is saying. Look at him. Imagine that the teacher is speaking to you one-on-one. Don't turn left, don't turn right, don't go on your phone. If you would not do that in a one-on-one conversation, imagine in the middle of a conversation, someone is talking to you, or you're talking to someone in the middle of a conversation, and then he looks at his phone, you're talking to him, and he's looking at his phone, touching his phone and so forth, and looking at the screen and tapping. You think this person is not paying attention to me. You'll feel a bit, like the brother is not taking what you're saying serious, or he's not paying attention. So in the class also, when the teacher is giving the dars, try to imagine that the teacher is talking directly to you and only you. Don't think there's 20 people, other students, so even if I look to the left, teacher won't mind. No, because if he looks at you at that time and he sees you looking left and right, he may stop the lesson. Or he may not go into details because he may think, okay, the students are not, maybe they're tired, better we stop the lesson early, and next week they may be more ready, and I'll give a longer sharh next week. And you'll miss some of the fawaid that he could have given. So from the students, from the benefits and from the manners of the student, which will have benefit, is that he pays attention and displays that, because that will be an effect on the teacher. And from the aspect of the teacher now, and also young students or people that are giving da'wah, don't be burdensome on the people. If you see that the people don't really want to learn, then give them what they need. If there's a necessity that you have to explain something, explain it. But don't make it burdensome upon the people, and realize that everyone is at different levels. So it doesn't mean that they can handle as much knowledge as you may be able to handle. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.